Good morning. So remember last week when we had a look at expanding brackets and we looked at the fact that we had to multiply out the two brackets. So we do it as follows: x with a minus 2 and then x with a minus 5. If we multiply out these brackets, x times x will give us x squared, x times minus 2 is minus 2x, x times minus 5 is minus 5x, and then minus 2 times by minus 5 will give us positive 10, because multiplying with two negatives is going to generate a positive result. When we put all of these together, so remembering we don't include the terms that we were asked to multiply out, we get x squared minus 2x minus 5x and then a positive 10. So that gave us the overall result of x squared minus 7x plus 10. So what we're going to be looking at doing today in this video is going backwards. So starting with the quadratic to see if we can get it back into the two brackets that we had originally. So here's an example. So the command word for this going backwards is called factorising. So as we looked at last week, that means putting it back into brackets. Now what you need to look out for are the signs on these terms. This sign here is negative and this sign here is positive. Now last week we sort of said, okay, let's list out the factors of 12 and have a look at what numbers multiply to give us 12. And we need to have two numbers that multiply to give us 12 but add, so multiply to give us 12, but they're going to add to give us this 7, or in this case negative 7. So when you think of two numbers that multiply to give you a positive but are going to add to give you the negative there, it follows that both of those numbers will need to be negative. So negative 1 with negative 12, negative 2 with negative 6, they multiply to give us 12, negative 3 with negative 4, 4 means that I'm starting to repeat myself, so I can stop there, I don't need to go any further. So if I have a look at these pairs and add them up, minus 1 and minus 12, that gives me minus 13, so it's not those. Minus 2 add minus 6 gives me minus 8, so it's not those. Minus 3 with minus 4 gives me minus 7. That's the same as what I've got here with minus 7x. So these two numbers here are going to be what we factorise. So it will be x minus 3 and x minus 4. That's going to be us putting the quadratic back into its two brackets. I'm going to give you another example to try yourself. So here are 3 questions for you to try for yourself. So pause the video, write them into your book, obviously having written in the previous 2 as examples to work with, and then have a go to see if you can factorise them, so putting them back into brackets. Okay, so now let's go through the answers and see how you did. So all of these questions are the same. You've got a negative in the middle and a positive there. That means that the two numbers were both negative, because that's the only way you were going to get the positive result at the end with plus 30 and a negative in the middle. So factors of 30, I've got 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 4 doesn't go into it. I've then got 5 and 6, and if I keep going I'll be repeating myself. So let's make these negative. Which negative pair add up to give me minus 11? That would be this pair at the end. So factorising these, I'll have x minus 5 and x minus 6. And there we have it, that one done. Let's look at the next one. So x squared minus 8x plus 12. So here we want to have the factors of 12. We've got negative 1 and negative 12, negative 2 and negative 6, negative 3 and negative 4, and then I would just be repeating myself by going back to 4. Which of these factor pairs would add up to give me minus 8? It's going to be these ones here. So I'll have x minus 2 multiplied by x minus 6. And for the final set, 3 is a prime number, so that means the only numbers that multiply to give me 3 are 1 and 3, and both of those would have to be negative. So I'll have x minus 1 and x minus 3. Just a quick little word on this, if you've put the numbers in the other way round, so here for example you had x minus 6 and then x minus 5, that's okay. Here if you had x minus 6 in the first bracket and x minus 2 in the second bracket, that's also okay. And here if you had x minus 3 followed by x minus 1, that would also be okay. So have a go at the questions that I've sent, and fingers crossed you get on really well. Best of luck.